Hello and a very warm welcome to this film, Life on the Other Side. Throughout one's lifetime, there are certain questions that may come up, such as: is reincarnation a reality? Is there such a thing as heaven? Is there an afterlife? Or, what is life like on the other side? These are important questions that we ask ourselves, but remain mysteries because they cannot be understood by mind itself. In this video, I wish to share some of the experiences I have had that prove to me that they are a reality. Some of us instinctively know that we have a spirit and soul, but it is difficult to prove their presence because they are abstract forces. The spirit and soul are forces of light that hold and maintain the crystallized form of the human body. The domain of the spirit is the etheric body, which is an electromagnetic energy field that surrounds the physical body and stands approximately 5 to 8 centimeters away. The spirit is the light force that gives motion and expression to the physical body, which is ruled by the soul. The soul is the eternal light force that holds the consciousness that keeps us alive, whose domain is the aura. The aura is a subatomic energy field of light and color that surrounds the physical body, the size of which is determined by the level of consciousness that one is holding. The greater the expansion of consciousness, the greater the aura's energy field becomes. The directive of universal consciousness is to guide the soul to expand the mind by first stimulating and rewiring the logical left hemisphere of the brain with spiritual values and qualities. As this occurs, the expansion of consciousness will automatically begin to activate the three higher senses of clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. The soul is not limited or controlled by logic or mind. However, the logical mind can be corrupted by ego consciousness. Ego is a negative energy that seeks to dominate, control, and manipulate the logical mind to prevent it from being enlightened. For example, ego creates fear in an effort to control and stop you from stepping into the unknown, whilst the intuitive right side of the brain wants you to trust your feelings so that you will step into the unknown without fear. The logical left hemisphere of the brain gives us the physical perceptions of the world through the 5 physical senses. The intuitive right hemisphere has access to our higher dimensions of consciousness that stimulates and activates the 3 higher senses. The higher senses will eventually supersede the logical view of life that gives us the ability to connect with abstract forces. This enables us to see the aura and chakras, as well as hearing the guidance that comes through from spirit. These are some of the gifts that mediums use in a séance. Life and death. The transition of rebirth is decided by the soul who descends into the egg of the mother during the moment of conception, and unites with the spirit to create the crystallized physical body. These three bodies of energy are polarized through the positive inflowing of Kundalini through the crown chakra and down into the root chakra, which grounds the life force to Mother Earth. The transition of death. The transition of death is also decided by the soul that recognizes when a particular lifetime has been fulfilled. The soul will then sever the light cord of Kundalini in order to negate the dense physical body and naturally returns to the heavenly body of our Creator God. During the transition of physical death, a light will appear that draws us towards it and are met by a divine being who aids our transition to the other side. The other side is a plane of consciousness that holds great peace. It's where everything is revealed to us so that we may understand ourselves more deeply. When on the other side, we are also met by loved ones and souls that we have had a connection to in the life just past or previous lives. Nothing is hidden on the spiritual realm. We are shown why we made the choices we took in an effort to heal any division that may have occurred. There is no judgment, only acceptance of the choices made, which is followed by a period of counseling where each aspect is studied to restore the balance of unconditional love. The greater majority of souls return to Earth with the intention to transform any negative aspects along with any karmic debt they may hold. When the counseling is complete, the soul will decide to return to Earth. This could mean that there is a reversing of a situation or situations that will help to transform the choices that were made in the previous life. It is important to understand that there is no such thing as pain, suffering, or darkness on the other side, because we are pure soul beings of light without a crystallized physical body to take care of. On an astral plane, the soul can also manifest the physical aspects of itself at any given moment, a fact which I've experienced many times when working with mediumship. During the period of developing my three higher senses, I began to have experiences of seeing people's aura and etheric body, which was quickly followed by my seeing the chakras. This evolved into my seeking astral guidance to various worlds and dimensions of light that I felt were aspects of heaven. Yes, for me, heaven is a reality where there is a far greater sense of peace and harmony on all levels, ones that I had not experienced before. One thing that struck me was that the colours on the other side were of a softer, delicate hue, pastel-like, which seemed to blend into each other, unlike the strong, full colours that are clearly defined on Earth. I was also guided to a variety of dimensions of light. One such place was called the Hall of Records. I was told by my main guide that within the Hall of Records was a book that held the records of every lifetime of my soul's journey, and that I could visit it if I felt the need to, which I duly did. On an astral plane of consciousness, every place that I visited, I was welcomed and met by the purity of love, by beings of light that held a deep, deep sense of peace, which was overwhelming at times. The nearest physical experience I had of being in one of those places I visited astrally came to me when I saw the film Avatar and the world that was depicted in the film. the soul of the human being. Every human being on earth has a soul that reincarnates as a physical being to follow its karmic path in order to expand the consciousness. Karmic law often turns what we experienced in the previous life around. For example, the oppressor becomes the victim, and vice versa. All is in according to the greater plan, which is to establish higher planes of consciousness on earth. Logically, we do not recall anything about a past or previous life because universal laws and the spiritual rules are in place to protect us from ourselves. We have the freedom to make choices as we follow the logical conclusions after considering what is entailed. This is what determines the course of action we take in any given situation, in life and indeed the life we create. For example, whenever negative karma is created, there always comes a moment that gives the opportunity to transform it, such as an act of forgiveness. To summarize, soul life, rebirth, and physical death, return, are natural processes of the soul's karmic growth, ones that we have all experienced. But the transition that lies between death and rebirth has as yet not been fully understood or recognized by the greater majority of people. The time that we experience on earth between rebirth and death gives us the opportunity to transcend the limited views of life that logic holds, as well as to eliminate the hold that the ego consciousness has over many. This is the meaning behind reincarnation, which is to awaken, transform, and transcend one's consciousness towards ever greater enlightenment. When as a teenager, life seemed to be endless, and I lived it to the full. Now at an older age, I look back at those times and wonder if I could have done something differently. Logically speaking, the answer to that is undoubtedly yes. There were moments and times where I could have followed another pathway and made different choices. This brings us back to the reason why we have no recollection of a past life. Had I known what my past life situations entailed, I would have negated the freedom of choice due to the insights it gave. The reason why we reincarnate is threefold. The first is to awaken one's consciousness through spiritual development. The second is to eliminate ego consciousness and the fears it creates in one's life. And the third is to work on one's karma through self-study of karmic law. I trust what I have tried to express about my perception of life on the other side has in some form helped you to realize that there is an afterlife on other dimensions and planets to which we return. Thank you for watching and listening to this film. Blessings, love and light, Ralph Jenkins.